Hello, welcome to Ennara Reacts. Today I'm watching a clip from Factometer, and they're 101 dumbest ways people have died. Darwin Award winners. So let's see how that goes.
There's a thin line between bravery and breathtaking stupidity. Tonight, we're not just crossing that line. We're launching a rocket over it. Get ready for a 101 of the most absurd, hilarious, and jaw-dropping ways people have actually checked out. These stories aren't here to mock. They're a brutal, entertaining reminder that every single warning label has a backstory, usually written in blood. So let's learn from the mistakes of others, from a very, very safe distance. 1. To prove his office skyscraper's windows were unbreakable, a Toronto lawyer would dramatically charge at them. After 23 successful bounces,
does not sound
he
like a
went
good
for
idea.
one last triumphant run. And in a way, he was right. The glass didn't break. The entire window frame popped out of the wall, taking him on a one-way 24-story trip to the pavement. He was spectacularly right and fatally wrong, all at the same time. 2. We've all seen it in the movies. The hero jumps the opening drawbridge. A Florida man on a motorcycle decided that hero was him. But reality, unlike Hollywood, has safety equipment. The descending crossing gate caught him perfectly mid-torso, sweeping him off his bike like a broom. The truly beautiful part? His now riderless motorcycle soared through the air and stuck a perfect 10-point landing.
Really?
3. You see a bear. Do you A, keep your distance, or B, sprint towards it for a selfie because you need the social media engagement?
No.
A man in North Carolina chose B. Apparently, the bear wasn't interested in becoming content and didn't appreciate the invasion of its personal space.
Obviously.
The mauling he received ensured his story went viral, just not on his own account. 4. 2 Arizona men decided a hot air balloon would be the perfect getaway vehicle. Not to fly, mind you, to steal. After a night of drinking, they untethered the balloon and floated off into the darkness, probably feeling like master criminals. Their brilliant aviation career ended abruptly when they drifted directly into a set of high-voltage power lines, becoming permanently entangled. 5.
Lovely.
A homeowner in Connecticut thought he'd streamline his yard work. He rented an industrial wood chipper and placed it right under the large oak tree he was trimming. The plan? Cut, drop, and done.
No.
After one misplaced step off his ladder, he went from being the project manager to the project's primary ingredient.
Oh.
You gotta admire the efficiency, though. 6. You're on Lake Washington.
God.
Your jet ski battery is dead. You have a charger. What do you absolutely not do? This guy did it. He plugged the charger in, held the live booster cables, and then jumped back onto the jet ski sitting in the water.
Hello?
For a glorious
water
millisecond.
And electricity
He was the
bad.
world's most effective and most flamboyantly expired human grounding wire. 7. In a classic tale of teamwork gone wrong, 2 men in Washington state tried to siphon gas from an RV. One guy stuck the hose into the wrong tank and got a mouthful of raw sewage. He spat it out, disgusted. His friend found this so hilarious he doubled over laughing, dropping his lit cigarette into the gasoline puddle.
Oh, shit.
The resulting unsanitary explosion was legendary. 8. After being miraculously rescued from his van stuck in the middle of Death Valley, one man proved that gratitude is overrated. He decided he couldn't just abandon his vehicle. So he hitched a ride back and set out to walk the last 15 miles to retrieve it. No map, no water.
What?
The desert doesn't give second chances to people who spit in its face. 9. A Houston man decided to play Russian roulette. A classic bad idea, but he added a special twist. He used a semi-automatic pistol. For anyone who understands how guns work, this isn't a game of chance.
No.
It's a guarantee. He put the gun to his head, pulled the trigger, and was shocked to learn a critical lesson in firearm mechanics. The next round loads automatically. It was a one-player game with a guaranteed loser. 10. A man in Detroit got into an argument with a vending machine that ate his quarter. He decided to teach it a lesson by rocking the 850-pound machine back and forth. In the final round of Man vs. Machine, the machine won by knockout when it tipped over and crushed him flat. He never got his soda. 11. A North Carolina man blew a fuse in his pickup truck. Lacking a spare, He had a moment of pure, backwoods genius. He
What
jammed
is
a
that?
live shotgun shell into the fuse box.
No.
The moment he turned the key, the electrical circuit did exactly what it was supposed to do, turning a 25-cent problem into a very final, very loud solution. 12.
No.
A man in Louisiana was so confident in his new knife-proof jacket, he decided a public demonstration was in order. He asked his friend to stab him to prove its effectiveness.
Maybe put
His
it on a
friend obliged.
dummy to try it.
The knife went through the jacket and several vital organs like they weren't even there. The jacket failed the test. Spectacularly. 13. Ice fishing in Wisconsin can be
Okay,
slow.
so who was at fault for that?
So two friends decided to
Was it
speed
supposed
things
to be
up with a stick of dynamite.
Knife-proof?
They lit it, tossed it far out onto the frozen lake, and their loyal golden retriever, thinking it was a brand new game of fetch, happily retrieved the hissing stick and brought it right back to them inside their fishing shack. No fish were harmed in the making of this tragedy.
But the puppy. No.
14. A tourist at the Grand Canyon wanted the ultimate vacation photo. He spent minutes pretending to fall off the edge for his friend's amusement. After getting his laughs, he took one step back to admire his work and actually fell off the edge. The canyon apparently has a very dark sense of humor. 15. A pastor in Gabon, Africa, wanted to demonstrate a miracle to his congregation. He announced he would walk on water across an estuary. There was just one tiny, insignificant detail he overlooked. He couldn't swim. He waded into the water with complete confidence and promptly sank like a stone. The sermon was memorable, at least. 16.
Yeah.
In 1989, a skydiver
dumb.
filmed his entire jump group exiting the plane. The footage is incredible. Everyone's smiling, waving, then leaping into the blue. The problem? In his dedication to getting the perfect shot, he'd filmed himself jumping out of the plane without a parachute. He recorded
crap.
his own mistake in stunning high definition. 17. Two men in
He
rural
couldn't have,
Pennsylvania
caught up and
decided to steal
piggybacked
a
with
soda
somebody?
machine from a second-story porch. They devised a brilliant plan involving a plank of wood as a ramp. As they pushed the 800-pound machine, it gained momentum, shot down the plank, and launched one of the men over the railing, where he fell to his death. The soda machine landed upright, completely unharmed. 18. An Ohio man was trying to repair a leaky gas tank on his truck. His tool of choice? A welding torch? He figured the few remaining fumes probably weren't a big deal. The resulting explosion launched him through the garage roof and proved, once and for all, that physics doesn't care about your weekend project deadlines. 19.
How could you be that dumb?
While joyriding in Ohio, a 21-year-old decided he couldn't get enough leverage to throw rocks at mailboxes from inside the minivan. So he slid open the side door to get a better wind-up. The powerful force of his own throw swung him out of the moving vehicle and onto the pavement. He was taken out by the laws of momentum he was trying to weaponize. 20. A group of terrorists planned to detonate a car bomb. In a fatal display of incompetence, the man setting the timer forgot to account for daylight saving time, which had ended the night before. He set the bomb for an hour later than he thought. It exploded while he was driving it to the target. He was, quite literally, hoisted by his own petard. 21. A young couple in Ukraine, seeking a bit of privacy and romance, decided to make love on a set of active railway tracks at night.
Why?
They were so engrossed in the moment, they failed to notice the approaching train. The
I
train,
mean,
however,
that can't
was
have been
perfectly on schedule.
comfortable. Why
The
not
engineer reported he saw
off to
them,
the
but it was far
side
too
or
late to
something
stop.
in the grass?
22.
What's wrong with
After
you?
a night of heavy drinking in Arizona, a 24-year-old man got into an argument with his friend. To prove his toughness, he ran full speed and headbutted a giant saguaro cactus. He was impaled by so many spines that he went into shock and died.
Oh my gosh.
The cactus, a protected species, was unharmed. 23. A man in Virginia decided to try bungee jumping off a 70-foot railroad trestle. He did all the math himself, carefully measuring the bridge and the cord. The only thing he forgot to account for was the elasticity of the rope. He hit the ground at full speed, proving that sometimes a little stretching can be a very, very bad thing. 24. A woman on a 12-hour bus trip from Glasgow to London was desperate for a cigarette. When the bus stopped on a motorway but didn't let passengers off, she snapped. She forced open the emergency exit door while the bus was traveling at 60 miles per hour and was immediately sucked out and under the wheels. She never got that
Jeez.
smoke.
Really? You can't go... couldn't survive without a cigarette until the bus stopped moving?
25. After being pulled over for speeding in a stolen car, a 20-year-old managed to slip his cuffs, crawl through the partition, and steal the police cruiser. He led them on a 90-map chase.
How do you crawl through the partition?
The police eventually spun his stolen
Isn't
vehicle
that,
out,
like,
and it
welded to
rolled.
the roof and
His
stuff?
final, fatal mistake? He wasn't wearing his seatbelt. 26. A man in Alaska received a package bomb in the mail. Puzzled, he took it to the local police station. While the officers were examining it, he became impatient, grabbed it back, and started shaking it, asking, "What do you think it is?" The
Why
bomb
would you
squad
do that?
never got a chance to answer.
How did
27.
he know it was a
An
package
animal
bomb in the first
handler at an
place?
Oklahoma sanctuary had one simple rule: never enter the liger's cage during feeding time. A liger, for the uninitiated, is a
Cross
lion-tiger
between
hybrid,
a lion-tiger,
and it's
yeah.
huge. For reasons that died with him, he broke that rule. He went from being the one delivering the meal to being the meal itself. 28. At a hotel in Mexico, a woman working out in the gym needed to get her friend's attention on the floor below. Instead of taking the stairs, she leaned her head into the shaft of a large service elevator to shout down. She failed to notice the
Why?
elevator car was
Oh,
ascending
no.
directly towards
Oh,
her.
crap.
It was a very short, one-sided conversation.
Ow.
29. A mechanic in Belgium had a problem. His trousers kept falling down. Annoyed, he decided to use his company's compressed
those look
air
like
hose to
coveralls.
blow them up
They can't
and keep them
fall
in
down.
place. He inserted the high-pressure nozzle into his pants, creating a perfect seal. The 120 psi blast inflated his entire body, rupturing his internal organs instantly. 30. An amateur lumberjack in Pennsylvania was cutting down a massive tree. He was so focused on his work, he failed to notice that several other large, dead trees were leaning against his target. When he made the final
How do
cut,
you not
the
notice that?
combined weight sent them all falling in an unpredictable direction. He was found directly under the main trunk. He saw the tree, but missed the forest. 31. An empty beer can on someone's head is not a target. It's a cry for
No.
help. In
This is
Michigan,
not the
two
time to
friends
play
ignored
William
this,
Tell.
deciding to reenact the William
No.
Tell legend with a rifle. The shooter's aim, softened by alcohol, missed the can entirely but perfectly found his friend's head. Proving that some partnerships, especially those fueled by alcohol and firearms, have a very
Holy
explosive
crap.
expiration date.
You just killed your
32.
friend.
Walking and texting is a modern hazard.
Yes.
For a tourist in California, it was a terminal one. He was so engrossed in his phone, he walked right past numerous warning signs and straight off a 600-foot cliff. He completely missed the
How
final, most
do
important
you
notification
not
from reality.
Notice a big-ass cliff.
33. Stealing copper wire from a substation is a bold career choice. For a 16-year-old in the UK, it was also a short one. The danger of death signs weren't just for decoration. The moment his tools made contact, he learned that high voltage is the most effective anti-theft
Yeah.
system ever invented. 34. Proving that insurance fraud requires a delicate touch, two brothers in Ohio used a gas can and a lighter. After their hired arsonist failed 3 times, they decided to burn down their own sandwich shop. A stray cigarette butt ignited the fumes,
They hired an
engulfing them
arsonist
both.
who failed
They
3
finally
times?
got the job done, just with a much higher deductible than planned. 35. The quest for the perfect selfie is perilous. 2 women in Mexico climbed onto a van parked beside a rural airstrip for a better angle. They were so focused on posing that they failed to notice the small plane on final approach. The
Oh,
wing
crap.
clipped them both, permanently ending their photo shoot.
Ugh. What? The van was on the actual airstrip? Why was it on the airstrip?
36. What's worse than riding in a shopping cart towed by an SUV? Doing it on a
That
busy
is not
street.
a good idea. No.
A 28-year-old in Tennessee found out when the SUV swerved and his cart didn't.
Obviously.
He was ejected directly into oncoming traffic,
Oh, crap.
turning a dumb viral stunt into a very literal deadline. 37. Chasing a jackrabbit with a snowmobile is pointless. But for one guy in Wyoming, it was a mission. The rabbit,
Why?
clearly the smarter of the two, darted into a concrete drainage pipe. The hunter, fixated on the kill, followed it right in at full speed. The rabbit escaped. The snowmobile and its rider did not. 38. A German man
He
declared
couldn't
war
have
on the
left the
moles in his
snowmobile
lawn.
and got out
His weapon
himself?
of choice? The entire electrical grid. He hammered metal rods into the ground and hooked them to an overhead high-voltage line. He successfully turned his
Why?
yard into a massive bug zapper, with himself as the main bug. 39. Trying to
Why?
rob a gun store is a bad idea.
Yeah.
Trying to do it with only a baseball bat,
Oh
while
my
the owner is
gosh.
inside and well-armed, is a masterclass in poor planning. A would-be thief in
Bought a
Seattle didn't even
baseball
make
bat
it through
to
the
a
door before
gunfight.
he was met with a predictably decisive response from the proprietor. 40. At a New Year's party, a Canadian student attempted a polar bear swim under the ice. The plan was to dive into one hole and come out another, just 6 feet away. He dove in. He never came out. A chilling reminder that even a simple plan can go fatally wrong when you're disoriented in freezing water. 41. There are wrong ways to win an argument, and then there's this. In a Pennsylvania bar, a man insisted his handgun was perfectly safe. To prove it, he put the gun to his own head and pulled the trigger. The debate was
The
settled
hell?
conclusively. The gun was, in fact, not safe. 42. In New Jersey, a man decided the median of a busy highway was a perfectly reasonable place to get a good night's sleep. He laid out his blanket and drifted off. Drivers the next morning discovered he'd been run over multiple times, making for a truly terrible commute for everyone involved.
Well, they're not supposed to
43.
drive on the
To
median.
get a better
Why
view,
was he run over
an
multiple
Englishman
times?
climbed to the top of a moving Ferris wheel. He stood on the roof of a car to wave at the crowds, lost his balance, and fell. His journey wasn't over. He was
No?
then systematically run over by every single car on the wheel as it
Oh.
continued its slow, methodical descent. 44.
Insult to
A
injury.
French zookeeper decided to test a new tranquilizer on a rhino. Instead of using a dart gun, he thought he'd administer it by hand. He crept into the enclosure and jabbed the multi-ton animal.
What?
The rhino, not appreciating the personal
Put
service,
it in its
returned the
food
favor
or
by
something,
trampling
maybe.
him into a fine paste.
Dumbass.
45. Stealing a safe is hard work. 2 burglars in Belgium heaved one out of a 3rd-story window. Their plan was for it to smash open on the concrete below. They just forgot one of them had gone downstairs to wait for it. He successfully caught it, with his entire body.
Is his name Wile E.
46.
Coyote?
In Brazil, a man tried to break into a car by smashing the window with a large rock. The reinforced glass held firm. The rock bounced back and hit him squarely in the face, knocking him out cold. Police arrived to find a perfectly secure car and a self-subdued criminal taking a nap beside it. 47. A
But not
forklift
dead.
is a powerful tool. For one warehouse worker in Florida, it was also the perfect instrument for petty theft. He used the massive machine to delicately lift a single can of beer from a high shelf. While backing up, he tipped the forklift over, crushing himself underneath. It was the most expensive beer he never drank.
What was the point of that?
48. Tired of his electric bill, a California man tried to power his house by hooking into a 12,000-volt line. He successfully threw a cable over the wire. Unfortunately, he was standing in a puddle at the time, instantly closing the circuit and turning his
Oh.
body into a smoldering footnote in the history of DIY projects.
Oh, not
49.
good.
Impressing your girlfriend is important, but there are limits. A man at the DC National Zoo decided jumping into the cheetah enclosure was the way to do it.
Why the
He
hell
cleared
would
the
you
wall
do that?
and landed right in their habitat. The cheetahs, who had been bored all day, were thrilled to have a volunteer for the afternoon's enrichment activity. 50. An Australian pearl diver was known for cutting corners. When a rope tangled in the boat's propeller, he jumped in to free it, forgetting one crucial step:
He didn't turn it
taking
off
the
first.
boat out of gear. The moment the prop was free, it snagged his air hose, turning his lifeline into a fishing line that reeled him directly into the blades. 51.
Gross.
To get an insurance payout, a man in Delaware had his friend accidentally run him over with a car. To make it look real,
Accidentally.
he stood in front of the car and gave the signal. His friend hit the accelerator instead of the brake, turning a minor fraud into a major fatality. 52.
Another guy
Checking your
killed his
car's
friend.
gas level at night can be tricky. Using a lit cigarette lighter for illumination, however, is generally not the recommended method.
Don't
A
you
man
have
in
a
Oregon
gas
learned this
gauge
when the gasoline
in the
fumes
car?
ignited. The resulting fireball provided a brief, spectacular, and very final moment of enlightenment. 53. A particularly clumsy burglar in California managed to get his head stuck in the bars of an iron fence while trying to flee a property. The tragic part? He fell face first into a decorative puddle that was only a few inches deep, proving that sometimes the biggest threats are the smallest hazards. 54.
Holy crap.
Breaking into a house via the chimney is a terrible idea, even for Santa. A thief in California got himself hopelessly stuck. The homeowner, puzzled by the muffled sounds from the fireplace, simply decided to light a fire to warm up the house, which quickly and
Why would
decisively
you do
solved
that
the
if you heard
mystery of the
noises?
blockage.
You just cooked him in
55.
there.
Convinced of his new vest's power, a man in Texas handed his friend a high-caliber pistol and told him to shoot him in the chest. His friend obliged.
You don't test
The
it while
vest, it
wearing
turned
it.
out, was not rated for that kind of firepower. As it happens, neither was the man wearing it. 56. Leaping between 9-story rooftops seems like a good idea only in video games.
If
Two
that.
friends in New York City decided to try it in real life. One of them made the jump successfully.
Parkour
The other one
horribly wrong.
didn't. He learned the hard way that a running start doesn't come with a respawn button.
No.
57. Trying to steal an ATM by ripping it from the wall is a classic heist move. Two brothers in Belgium tied a chain from the machine to their car. They floored it, but the chain was too strong. Instead of pulling out the ATM, they ripped the entire rear bumper off their own getaway car and drove off empty-handed.
That wasn't just the chain that was too strong.
58.
It was too
Two
well
teenage
mounted to the
girls in
wall.
Utah wanted a dramatic selfie on a set of train tracks. They saw a train approaching from one direction and waited for it to pass. They were so focused on framing the shot, they
How do you
failed to
not
notice
hear it?
another train coming from the opposite direction. The train got the final shot.
You didn't see it coming
59.
up behind you in the
At a party in Croatia,
Camera?
a man decided to impress his friends by juggling live hand grenades. For a few glorious moments, he was the
No.
life of the party. His
Until he
act
was
came
the
to a
death of
sudden,
everybody.
explosive end when he inevitably dropped one. The party ended with a bang.
For most of human history, winter shoes were made from what actually survived
He
winter.
took out more than
Leather,
just himself
wool,
with that one, I'm
hide,
thinking.
Natural materials, breathable, flexible, alive. Native American
60. A man in Washington needed to dispose of an old, half-full propane tank. His method? He shot it with a
Can't you just-
high-powered rifle from
You can
30
turn
yards
those
away.
in places, can't you?
The tank exploded, sending a massive chunk of shrapnel flying back at him with pinpoint accuracy. He solved his disposal problem permanently. 61.
Jeez.
Believing he could communicate with snakes, a Pentecostal preacher in Kentucky decided to handle a rattlesnake during a sermon. The snake, apparently not a member of his congregation, bit him on the hand. The preacher refused medical treatment, insisting his faith would save him.
What is he, a
His
Christian
faith was
scientist?
unfortunately incorrect. 62. A young driver in Germany late for his own birthday party was caught speeding. In a panic, he tried to switch seats with his passenger while the car was still moving at 60 miles per hour.
Why?
He lost control, crashed into a truck, and never made it to the party. 63.
Or any other one.
To win a bar bet, a 30-year-old man in Illinois claimed he could swallow a live fish. He successfully got the 5-inch fish down his throat, where it promptly got stuck in his windpipe. Paramedics
I've heard of
were
people
unable to
swallowing
dislodge it.
goldfish. That
He won
one's
the
too
bet,
big,
but
though.
lost the ability to breathe. 64. After a night of drinking, a man in South Carolina decided it would be hilarious to pants his friend, pulling his trousers down in public. His friend, startled and off balance, stumbled backward into the path of a moving car.
No.
The prank was a riot, right up until it wasn't. 65. A
All these
factory
people
worker
killing
in
their
Michigan
friends.
got his hand caught in a piece of machinery. A coworker trying to help hit the emergency shutoff button. Unfortunately, he hit the reverse button instead, which pulled the trapped man even further into the machine.
No.
Good intentions don't always come with good results. 66. A man in England blindly followed his car's GPS directions, which led him straight down a steep boat launch and into a freezing river. As his car sank,
I mean,
he
how
was
do you
heard
not see
screaming,
that?
"But the sat-nav told me to turn here." Technology is a wonderful servant, but
I
a
mean,
terrible master.
you still gotta be observant to your
67.
surroundings,
A
man.
farmer in Minnesota was showing off his prize-winning 2,000-pound pig at the county fair.
That's a big pig.
To prove how gentle it was, he lay down in its pen to take a nap. The pig, mistaking his nap for an invitation to nibble, proceeded to eat him. Some pets have a very one-sided relationship with their owners.
But
68.
didn't he notice
Trying to get a tan,
when it took a bite?
a woman in
Or
Italy
tried
covered
to?
herself in cooking oil and lay on her apartment roof. She fell asleep and, lubricated by the oil, slowly
Cooked
slid off
herself.
the edge of the roof and fell 3
Oh.
stories. Her tan was the last
Okay.
thing on her mind during the descent.
Yeah.
69. An Austrian politician was giving a speech from a high-tech podium with a built-in elevator. Annoyed by a heckler, he pressed the down button to lower himself out of sight. In his haste, he stumbled and fell headfirst into the podium's machinery as it descended,
Oh,
fatally
no.
crushing him in front of a live audience.
Holy crap.
70. A group of college students in New York decided to have a demolition party in an abandoned building.
that
One
where they
student
break
took a
stuff?
sledgehammer to a primary support pillar on the ground floor. The building did exactly what buildings do when their support is removed. It collapsed, taking the party with it.
Dumbasses.
71. A drunk driver in Poland decided he was sober enough to navigate a raised drawbridge. He crashed his car through the barrier and accelerated, attempting the jump. In a shocking twist,
This is not
his
Dukes
car
of Hazzard,
actually
man.
cleared the gap and landed safely.
Really?
He, however, did not, having been ejected midair. A perfect landing for the car, a less than
Was it a
perfect one for the
convertible?
driver. 72. Seeking a cleaner cut for his lawn, a man attached sharpened helicopter blades to his push mower's engine. The improvised machine worked for a few seconds, creating a terrifying whirlwind of grass and steel before it disintegrated, sending a blade directly into his neck. It gave him an extremely close shave.
Too
73.
close.
An abandoned
wrong with
nuclear
the
missile silo seems
original
like a great place
lawnmower
to
blades?
explore. For a teenager in Washington, it was also a great place to test gravity. He peered over the edge into the 180-foot darkness, lost his footing, and fell. He reached the bottom in about 6 seconds, confirming that silos are in fact very deep. 74.
Lovely.
Climbing a streetlight in Las Vegas to celebrate New Year's Eve sounds festive, right? A
Nah.
Stanford graduate thought so. As the clock struck midnight, he lost his balance and instinctively grabbed the nearest thing for support, the high-voltage power lines. He became the very first and very bright Darwin Award recipient of the 21st century. 75. During a trip to a zoo, a man had a moment of profound stupidity. He decided to bite a camel.
What?
The camel,
Why?
deeply unamused by this breach of interspecies
How do
etiquette,
you even get close
simply
enough to the
turned,
camel?
sat down directly on top of him, and refused to get up. You just can't make this stuff up. 76.
So,
A
was
street
he alive
performer
or
in
did he
New
get
York
crushed?
City was famous for his act of burying himself alive. One day, he decided to upgrade his trick by using a new, custom-built plexiglass coffin. He just failed to account for the weight of the wet concrete he had his assistants pour on top. The coffin collapsed, turning his signature act into his final one. 77. In an effort to make his car more fuel efficient, an inventor in California attached a small jet engine to the roof.
How is
During a
that
test
fuel
drive,
efficient?
the engine
Jets use a
provided
ton of
incredible
money.
thrust. It also, unfortunately, melted the entire back half of his car, proving that some ideas are better left on the drawing board. 78. An Arizona man tried to steal a rare saguaro cactus by digging it up and pulling it over. He misjudged its trajectory. The 500-pound plant fell directly on top of him, pinning him to the desert floor with thousands of spines. He was literally defeated by a plant. 79. While trying to steal a boat, a thief in Florida was startled by the owner. He dove into the water to escape, forgetting he was still wearing his brand new, top-of-the-line, automatic inflation life vest. It deployed instantly, pinning him face down in the water just under the dock.
Oh.
80. A
Holy
man in
crap.
Ukraine decided to paint his garage. To reach the high spots, he stood on a metal ladder. To get a better angle, he rested the ladder against a passing freight train. The train, unsurprisingly, did not wait for him to finish
Why?
the job.
Would you
81.
lean
Determined
the
to win his
ladder
local
against the
fishing
building,
tournament,
not the
a
train?
man in Alabama threw a live electrical wire into the lake, hoping to stun the fish.
Like dynamite?
It worked. It also stunned him, as he was standing in the water at the time. He didn't win the
Dumbass.
tournament. 82. Two base jumpers in Norway decided to leap from a cliff at the same time for a dramatic video. They planned it perfectly, except for one detail,
Those
whose
flying
parachute
squirrel
opened first.
kind of suits, or
They deployed simultaneously, got tangled together, and plummeted to the ground. Their teamwork was flawless, right up to the end. 83.
Great.
A farmer in Brazil decided the safest way to transport dynamite was to tuck it into his pants. During the bumpy ride back to his farm, the friction caused the dynamite to explode. It was a short and very messy trip. 84. A young man in London, trying to impress his friends, claimed he could stop a moving car with his bare hands. They were skeptical. So he stood in the middle of the street and put his hands up to a speeding taxi. The taxi did not stop. His friends were no longer skeptical.
Okay, obviously the kid was stupid for standing in the middle of the road trying to stop a car like that, but also, shouldn't the driver of the car at least tried to stop to not hit the person?
85. At a wedding reception in Russia, a guest decided it would be a hilarious prank to hide in a giant industrial dryer. Another guest, not seeing him, decided to dry some wet tablecloths. The prank went from funny to fatal in one spin cycle. 86.
Why are the guests
A Kansas farmer
doing
was annoyed by
laundry?
a woodpecker damaging his barn. He decided the best solution was to shoot it. He fired his shotgun at the bird, missed, and hit a nearby high-tension power line. The resulting explosion set his entire barn and the surrounding field on fire. The woodpecker flew away. 87. To clear a stubborn drain, a man in Ohio poured a cocktail of highly reactive chemicals down his kitchen sink. He then decided to check
they
on his
make Drano
progress
for
by
that.
peering directly into the drain pipe. The chemical reaction chose that exact moment to erupt, turning his face into a chemistry experiment gone wrong. 88.
Dude,
To
was
launch
he
a
blinded?
200-pound anvil into the air, a group of friends in Washington packed gunpowder underneath it. It worked perfectly, sending the anvil soaring hundreds of feet into the sky. They just forgot to account for where the anvil would eventually land. It landed on their car, with one of them still inside it.
Oh no.
89. A man in Germany was so
He
proud of
didn't
his
see
pet
it coming,
piranha
huh?
that he decided to clean its tank without removing the fish first. To
It's
show
a
he wasn't
piranha.
afraid, he playfully waggled his finger in the water. The piranha, doing what piranhas do, bit his finger off. In shock,
The whole finger?
he fell backward and hit his head, fatally. 90. Believing it was a shortcut, a hiker in Oregon tried to slide down a steep, icy glacier. He quickly lost control, rocketing down the slope at an incredible speed. He slid for over 1,000 feet before coming to a very sudden, very final stop in a field of volcanic rocks.
Ooh, ow.
91. A prisoner in Brazil tried to escape by covering himself in cooking oil and attempting to squeeze through the small food slot in his cell door. He got his head and shoulders through, but then got hopelessly stuck. Guards found him the next morning, halfway to a freedom he would never reach.
I'm surprised you got
92.
that far through.
In a bizarre attempt at self-medication, a man in Colorado injected himself with rattlesnake venom, believing it would make him immune to snake bites. It did not. It simply delivered a fatal dose of poison directly into his bloodstream, greatly simplifying the snake's job. 93. A man in South Africa decided to test his homemade parachute by jumping off the roof of a 15-story building.
A homemade parachute?
His design, which consisted of a bed sheet and some rope, failed to deploy. Or rather, it deployed exactly as you'd expect a bed sheet to deploy. 94. During a heated argument, a woman in Florida threw a live turtle at her boyfriend. The turtle
Why did you
missed
throw
him
a turtle?
and flew out an open window. Trying to catch his pet, the boyfriend leaned too far, fell out the window himself, and landed on a car 2 stories below. The turtle somehow survived. 95. A British soldier wanted to send a
The
letter
turtle
bomb
was
to his
unharmed, but
commanding
geez.
officer. He carefully assembled the device, but made a critical error. He didn't put enough stamps on the package. The post office returned it to the sender. He opened his own mail, and the results were explosive.
He didn't
96.
recognize it?
An office worker in Germany decided to use the industrial paper shredder to destroy a can of compressed air.
That's not
The can
paper. Why
exploded
would you do
inside the
that?
machine, turning the shredder into a shrapnel grenade that took him out
Yeah.
instantly. Talk about a bad day at the office.
Why would you even
97.
think to do that?
Two friends in Illinois were playing with a loaded handgun.
That's not
One
a toy.
pointed it at the other and, as a joke, pulled the trigger, believing it was empty.
That is not a joke.
It wasn't.
You
The fatal
always
punchline
gotta
was
check
delivered
to
at
make
over
sure that
1,000
it's
feet per
whether
second.
it's loaded or not.
98. A Russian scientist was studying a deadly virus. Convinced of his own safety protocols, he accidentally pricked his finger with a contaminated needle. Instead of seeking immediate help,
I mean, purposely.
he simply documented his own body's deterioration in a journal over the next 2 weeks, right up until the end. 99.
Dumbass.
A man in Australia decided it would be fun to ride a crocodile. He snuck into
You
a zoo
ride a
enclosure and jumped onto
crocodile.
the back of a 16-foot saltwater croc. The crocodile, a creature that has not changed much since the age of dinosaurs, reacted with predictable and ancient fury. 100. Wanting to get rid of a wasp's nest under his porch, a man in Texas taped several high-powered fireworks to a long pole and lit them. The explosion not only destroyed the nest, but also set his
porch, the
entire house
house.
on fire. The wasps were gone. So
So's
was
the house.
everything he owned. 101. A man driving too fast in Maine lost control on a sharp turn. His truck smashed through 2 fences and plunged directly into a 400,000-gallon tank
Ooh,
of raw
crap.
sewage at the local
Ooh.
treatment plant.
Insult to
Divers
injury.
eventually found him, concluding a truly crappy final chapter to his story. And that concludes our
Hopefully
tour
he
of
was
101
dead before he
catastrophically
drowned
bad
in
ideas.
sewage?
Let their stories be the lesson you learn the easy way. Please, for the love of all that is holy, never repeat any of this.
No. Okay. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that I still have a pulse. Don't go out and do any of those things. I don't understand how anybody could be that dumb to do some of that stuff. But there you go. I'm not entirely sure that every one of those people actually died. It sounds like maybe some of them was just knocked out. The guy with the rock that bounced off the window and knocked him out. I don't see why the guy on the snowmobile in the drainage pipe had to necessarily die. Obviously, the snowmobile got stuck, but I don't know why he couldn't have gotten out. So maybe not everybody died, but all very dumb things to do. If you have any recommendations for other videos to watch, drop it in the comments. And thanks for watching. Remember to hit like and subscribe.